My name is Cynthia Lim, and together with Hanyin Huang, it is our pleasure to give a short introduction to our paper, Social Inclusion in Curated Contexts, Insights from Museum Practices. Today, the information we seek and the multimedia content we wish to consume have moved online. They took digital forms and are part of collections that have grown too large for us to humanly oversee. As a consequence, the question of what is worth our attention has increasingly been reframed as an AI problem, in which machine learning algorithms curate what we will ultimately get to see. There are advantages to this. Theoretically, we are confronted with a much larger and much more diverse offer than we once could in physical life. At the same time, machine learning techniques may naturally incline towards majority perspectives and preferences. If this happens, there is considerable risk that minority perspectives and interpretations get drowned out. As a consequence, when digital information is curated through algorithmic processes, we need to ask ourselves a few questions. How can the selection process do justice to the original diversity in the broader collections? How can curation be performed in ways that respect, engage, and include audiences beyond mainstream perspectives? While these questions seem relatively new and unexplored in the AI community, the museum sector has actually been looking into similar questions for at least the last 2 decades. In this work, we therefore discuss these efforts and reflect on how they may be inspirational to AI practice.
Historically, the museums have been seen as places that house and exhibit items of historic, scientific, or aesthetic values. The criteria of these values have been primarily based on the dominant groups whose cultures museums were founded on. However, the museum sector has been recognizing that audiences are now more diverse. The traditional image in which museum staff are the experts and the top-down practice model is in place needs revision. Various activities and actions have been initiated to explicitly address social inclusion and democratize museum theory and practice, with special attention to those that have long been underrepresented by the museum sector. In discussing these activities in our paper, 3 aspects stand out, for which we feel it will be particularly interesting to make translations from museum insights to AI. Firstly, we consider the concept of neutrality, which presently is being reconsidered in museums. Rather than assuming that universal, neutral descriptions exist, terminology is being re-examined and revised. Furthermore, in their organizational practice, museums have started adopting the attitude of cultural humility, an awareness of the effects that cultural and personal backgrounds can have on the practice, and an attitude to address these effects. Secondly, it should be noted that items in museum collections are purposefully presented in ways that allow for situational interpretation. The items are put in context, and audiences are proactively invited to reflect on this. To make this happen, different parts of the museum services actively collaborate. Finally, community participation enriches the curatorial practice of museums with diverse voices. This can, for example, be done by collecting the cultures of underrepresented communities or putting members of these communities in curatorial roles.
Please read our paper and attend our long presentation for a deeper discussion of these topics. We're looking forward to interacting with you.